What's going on, guys? Welcome to another awesome episode of the 60-Yard Dash. I'm Nick. Bryce is going to be a little late today. This is Austin. How are you doing today?
I'm pretty good.
All right, awesome. And we just had the first episode of the Whiskey Hour. It was awesome. Guys, please make sure you go follow them. Go give them a like. Go to their Facebook page. Give them a like and share their stuff. And they're awesome part of this GCSN community we got going on now. So I'm really excited about today. I don't know about Austin. I'm pretty sure he is too. But in a couple days, we have NFL football.
The best time of the year.
The best time of the year. I'm so excited. I didn't know if we were going to make it a couple months ago, but here we are. I'm sorry. I thought you were going to say something after that.
Man. I'm just amped about the season. I'm ready.
Yeah, we're so close. I'm really excited. What do you think is the most exciting part about this season so far that we're here now, but we didn't have preseason?
I think it's the surprise factor. There's a lot of teams that it's like, well, they had a really good draft, and I think it's going to come as a shock to people that a lot of the teams that were really good last year are probably going to be pretty good this year because those are the teams that have kind of played together the most. And we all know that in team sports, chemistry will beat, talent any day of the week. So you come across, teams like the Chiefs that all played together last year versus a team like, that drafted really well. Like, the Vikings had a really good draft, but none of those guys have really played together yet. How much time has, Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson got, or, Jeff Gladney and guys like that to actually take reps in practice. So we really don't know what we're getting with any of those guys. So I think it's going to be a lot of the teams that were really good last year are going to end up being really good this year again.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how well these teams click. We had a ton of offseason moves, trades like crazy, people, being shuffled around. I just want to say, bring up Heather's comment. Hey, Heather, thanks. You're always here. We love you. Thanks for commenting. Martin, I'm so hyped about NFL football. It's here after this awful year. We need football. I couldn't agree. Yes, I couldn't agree anymore. You said it 100% on the nail. So as we're approaching week 1, and we're approaching it very fast, what do you look forward to most in week 1?
Other than the fact that I'm going to watch every game that I can, I'm going to have my NFL Red Zone with as many games on as I can. There are a few matchups that I'm really excited to see. Obviously, I'm a Packers fan, so I'm really excited to see my team go on the road in Minnesota and kind of set the tone for the season with a win over the Vikings. That would be the perfect start of the season for me. But, obviously, there's really intriguing matchups all over the place. I think the NFL realized that, this has been a weird year, and they've definitely spoiled us with the first week of the season because there's a lot of really, really fun matchups to watch.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to, honestly, one of the most ones that I'm looking forward to is Texas at Kansas City, or the Texans at Kansas City. Houston, that crazy game in the playoffs, and now we get to see them match up again. The Chiefs basically brought back everybody from last season. We're basically looking at the same team. What do you anticipate? I'm obviously not 100%, but But what are you anticipating for this matchup? What stands out the most for you?
I really do think we're going to see the absence of DeAndre Hopkins in the Texans offense. I like Will Fuller. I like Will Fuller a lot. And to me, he's always just been that number 2 guy. And Brandon Cooks has shown time and time again that he can't be consistently healthy. So I don't know what the Texans really have at receiver as far as, that pass attack that they were known for the last, 3 seasons with Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins. That's not there anymore. So, you're facing a team with that offense where your offense is taking a ding, and then you're going up against a Kansas City Chiefs offense who added a running back who I really like in the draft, Mr. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, is just going to, add another dynamic to that already potent Chiefs offense. I think this game could get out of hand quickly for the Texans if they don't establish a dominant run game. and at least find some way to get Will Fuller and Brandon Cooks involved for, those play action passes and letting Deshaun spread out the field.
How much of a factor is Kenny Stills going to be in Brandon Cooks? They also got Randall Cobb now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they have a lot of receivers. It's just who's going to kind of step up and try to fill that role that DeAndre Hopkins left. To me, it'll probably end up being Will Fuller just because Brandon Cooks is just not really that number one receiver type. It could really go either way. I think it's going to be a lot more on Deshaun this year. You're not
absolutely
spoiled anymore.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. He just signed that huge contract.
Oh, yeah.
It's time to show us what you're made of now that you don't have DeAndre Hopkins there. Let's see. Do you think Edelman should be captain for the Patriots? How do you see them doing without Brady? You want to tackle that one?
Yeah. To me, the Patriots right now are a 6-10 team. It's not even because of Brady being gone. That roster was already being depleted before he left. And now without him, he was kind of holding it all together. If you have Tom, you're at least going to win a few games. And now he's not even there. And Bill Belichick is a Hall of Fame coach. He's probably the best coach we've ever seen. And Josh McDaniels is probably one of the best offensive coordinators we've ever seen. But I don't know what we're going to get from Cam Newton. That receiving core leaves a lot to be desired, especially after they just dropped Mohamed Sanu. And Julian Edelman was banged up last year, and I think it'll be not long before he's banged up again this year. So I don't know what we're going to get from that Patriots offense, and I know that they lost a lot of starters on defense.
Tons of starters are sitting out.
Yeah, it's a really depleted roster, and they're going up against a revamped Dolphins team that I think knows their identity. They've added a lot of running backs. I think they recently just grabbed Lynn Bowden. Was it Lynn Bowden or Brian Edwards, the guy that the Raiders drafted? Got him for a 6th round pick. That he was a 6th round pick in the draft. They're ready to run the ball. They're ready to throw the ball with Fitzpatrick. They're going to play good defense. It was the least penalized team last year. They're going up against a good Miami team. I don't know if the game is in Miami or New England, but I also know that New England's a pretty bad September team.
The game is in New England.
Okay.
But out of all of the teams that usually have the ability to beat New England in New England, it has been the Dolphins in the past.
Yeah. So I think that game could really get ugly for the Patriots, especially because we haven't seen a healthy Cam Newton in the last 2 years. So it's kind of like, is he going to be that super Cam that we all want to see again? Maybe, but the reality says probably not.
It's going to be a different team. We're looking at a complete revamping, basically. Cam Newton is not the quarterback that Tom Brady is, obviously. I mean, but Cam Newton's good. Don't get me wrong. I like Cam Newton. He's a good quarterback. It's a different system that he's in. So it's going to be I think there's going to be a few weeks of a learning curve, especially since we didn't have the preseason. So it'll be interesting to see. But in that Dolphins and Patriots game, I got the Dolphins winning that one.
I do as well.
All right. So we will be taking a look here at the schedule. We walked right over the Eagles at Washington, facing the Washington football team.
Everybody's favorite football team.
Man, so I just think it's a dumpster fire in Washington. But take the name of the team out of the equation.
Yeah. The
rest of everything that's going on is a dumpster fire. So I think the Eagles walk all over them. And I don't think there's going to be any kind of issue to be had.
I agree with you to an extent. I have the Eagles winning the game, but there are some key factors that we're kind of overlooking about the Redskins. I like Dwayne Haskins. And Dwayne Haskins has shown in this offseason that he's dedicated to his health. I mean, the guy shed, I believe, 18 pounds in the offseason. We're going to get a leaner. He's probably going to be a little bit more nimble on his feet. And then there's a guy named Terry McLaurin, who I think is a very, very scary receiver, and he can
Yeah.
cause a lot of problems for opposing defenses with the right quarterback. And I think Dwayne Haskins has the potential to be that right quarterback. And you're also thinking that, you have Ron Rivera there now. It's not the, Joe or Jay Gruden that's, coaching that team anymore. You have a NFL coach with experience, with a mobile quarterback or a big arm quarterback like Dwayne Haskins. And then, him on defense, Ron Rivera is a defensive guru. That's kind of his thing. And you just gave him Chase Young. So I think that game could be a little bit closer than we're thinking, especially with how stacked the Redskins defense, or I'm sorry, the football team's defensive line is.
It's going to be hard to break.
On paper, they have guys like Jonathan Allen and Matthew Ioannidis and Chase Young. You still have Montez Sweat from last year. So, and the Eagles are battling a lot of offensive line injuries right now. So I think the Eagles win that game, but I think it's closer than we think.
2 questions for you, and I want to bring it up. What is the status of Juice? I think he's active, right?
Geis?
Juice. Darius Juice?
Yeah. I think his name is pronounced Geis.
Geis? Oh, okay. Sorry.
I think he's even in the league anymore. I think he got dropped.
I think he's on the roster.
Is he?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, he's still on the roster. According to NFL.com.
I just Googled it. It says he's a free agent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
they dropped him due to off the field issues.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just looking at the NFL.com roster, and they still got him listed.
Yeah.
So they're looking at J.D. McKissick at their running back then?
Yeah, J.D. McKissick, and they also have Bryce Love. I mean, it's not ideal at the running back position by any means. They're going to have to rely on Dwayne Haskins to throw the ball. But I think that might not be such a bad thing. I think he's a guy that can do that. That's what he did a lot at Ohio State. He threw the ball. That's what he's good at. He throws a really nice deep ball. And I think Terry McLaurin's a guy that can go up and get it. They also have a slot receiver I like named Steven Sims. I just don't think it's going to be that far apart in points between them and the Eagles with all the injuries that the Eagles are already battling.
Right. So it was brought up in the comments, and we did graze over it because we just kind of started going into it. But the Von Miller situation.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we forgot to bring that up. So Von Miller is supposedly supposed to be out for the year. Is that what we're
pending MRI? Yeah.
Pending MRI. I think that's huge. A huge loss for the team.
It is.
What is your thoughts on it? And then I'll give you my take.
I was genuinely excited for the Broncos this year. I thought, Drew Lock showed a lot of potential last year. They surrounded him with weapons on offense. You got guys like Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamler into the building. And then you added Melvin Gordon to Phillip Lindsay, who was a running back that I already liked. And then you brought in Jarrell Casey, and you got Bradley Chubb back from injury. So it was like, oh, well, you're going to have 3 really good pass rushers that can affect opposing teams' quarterbacks. And when you're in a division like the AFC West, when you have to play Patrick Mahomes twice a year, you have to get after the quarterback or you're going to fall behind by 20 points by the half. And losing arguably one of the best, or arguably the best pass rusher in the league, it really just stings for the Broncos. I think that almost takes them out of contention for a wild card spot in that.
I totally agree with you. Von Miller is, other than last year, putting up double-digit sacks every year. I mean, and he was 2 shy away from double digits last year. So Von Miller is a huge piece to the Broncos puzzle, and now you don't have it. And
I think that's that team.
Absolutely. And I think that you said it better than I could have. They are. I think that takes them out of wild card contention, in my opinion, too.
I think the Raiders are a team that are watching that right now and kind of licking their chops, thinking maybe we could steal this wild card spot. Same thing with the Chargers, honestly, because I don't know what they're going to be able to accomplish with Tyrod Taylor on the field, but if they throw Justin Herbert in there and that kid can pop, that's a team that could be, contending for that wild card spot now, with the Broncos seemingly out of the picture with the Von Miller injury.
Right. Yeah, I want to keep my eye on the Raiders just because of how many injuries down the end of the season that they ran into, even at the beginning of the season with Abrams going down.
Yeah.
The team looked pretty decent to me going into the season, and then they just got riddled with injuries. I think the Raiders they're not going to win the division. Obviously, the Chiefs are, but we got more wild card this year.
Yes,
it could be the Raiders' year to make the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you look at the team that the Raiders started last season with, it wasn't bad.
No,
there's a lot of things to like on that team, and then in the offseason, they've done a lot of things that I like as well. I mean, they added Corey Littleton and Nick Kwiatkowski, and then they just traded for Raekwon McMillan. So these are guys who can play ball, and you're giving it to John Gruden, who seemingly has pieced together a roster that he really likes. Now, they've made some questionable draft choices in the last 2 years. I think they reached for Clelin Ferrell last year. I didn't like the Damon Arnett pick this year, but
why not?
I just don't know how you draft a guy in the first round who wasn't even the best corner at his own school.
Okay. But I mean, isn't John Gruden kind of like known for that?
Yeah, he is. And that's why it's I can forgive it more because it's Gruden doing it, and he's kind of known for, oh, nobody else wants you, okay, I'll take you.
Right.
Like especially with guys like that guard that they have that no one likes because he's racist.
Richie Incognito,
yeah, and Vontez Burfict, like guys like that where nobody else wants them, and somehow they work with Gruden.
Yep.
Antonio Brown.
Before we get to that one, let's bring up. We didn't talk about this while we were talking about Washington. They cut AP, and he's now with the Lions. How do we see that playing out? I don't see him. I mean, obviously, AP is not going to be a starter in Detroit, right?
No.
But he could be a pretty good third down back, second down. Try to pick up those short yards, and he'll fit in pretty well with Detroit.
I agree. The thing with Detroit is that they have two running backs who are young, who I really like. I mean, you have Kerryon Johnson, who's shown some flashes of being a really good running back, and then DeAndre Swift could be a nightmare.
I don't know too much about him, if I'm being completely honest, so educate me.
He was really good in college.
Okay.
Elite speed, small enough to fit between tacklers, but big enough to, impose his will on linebackers and such. He has the potential to be really good. And you add a veteran running back who's, again, arguably one of the greatest running backs of all time into that locker room to teach them, how to be a professional, how being a running back in the NFL actually works. And I think it's a great look for Detroit, especially when you don't really know how Stafford's going to come back from injury. Is he going to be washed up? Is he going to be, injury prone? Is he going to get injured again? We don't really know what we're getting with Stafford. So I think they're going to be a run heavy team, especially in a division where they've seen like Green Bay struggled against the run last year. They know, that's kind of how you beat the Packers, and the Packers ran that division last year. So I think it's going to be a power run team. And I think Adrian Peterson is the perfect guy to lead that locker room for them.
I was not a part of last week's show when we were talking about guys on the hot seat or with the most pressure on them, but I did include Matt Patricia and Matt Stafford on that list because I think there's a lot of questions going on in Detroit in that aspect.
Yeah.
And I think AP is a pretty good, not going to fix it, but a pretty good, step in the right direction. So I think it's a good move for them.
It is. I like the move a lot. I mean, obviously he's back in my division, and I've been a Packers fan for my whole life. So I have nightmares of Adrian Peterson when he was on the Vikings. And the thought of him being back in the division, even at 36 years old, scares me just a little bit.
Well, while we're on the subject, let's move on to the next game, which is the Green Bay Packers in Minnesota. And I know you're a Packers fan, but I like what's going on in Minnesota, and they looked pretty good to me last year. I know they got rid of Stephon Diggs, right? So we're going to be looking at some questions on the wide receiver front, but I don't think Stephon Diggs is really going to make that much of a difference to them in the long run. And I think they thought that too, which is why they let him go.
And I agree to a certain extent. And Justin Jefferson is a prospect that I loved. Coming out of LSU, I was sitting there in front of the draft, fingers crossed, hoping that the Packers would make a move to get Justin Jefferson. So seeing him go to Minnesota was pretty heartbreaking. But now that he's in Minnesota, what I will say is that I fear Stephon Diggs a lot more than I fear Justin Jefferson. And the thing that Stephon Diggs did for Minnesota was not just be a great receiver. He took a lot of the pressure off of Adam Thielen. And now, the Packers are free to basically double team Adam Thielen and have Justin Jefferson in single coverage and kind of essentially take away the passing game from the Vikings and then force them to run the ball with Dalvin Cook. And Dalvin Cook kind of chewed us up a couple times last year. But Green Bay was able to contain him enough and hold on to win. And I think another thing that we're overlooking is the Packers run game. I mean, the Packers have 3 running backs who I like a lot. We brought in A.J. Dillon in the offseason, and Aaron Jones had his career year last year, and I think he's going to have even a better year this year. Green Bay's a power running team now. It's hard to believe that Aaron Rodgers is on a power running team, but that's really what it is. They went tight end heavy, running back heavy, offensive line heavy in the draft. And the only, pick outside of that was a linebacker who's on injured reserve now. So Matt LaFleur, he comes from that Sean McVay system. We want to run the ball and throw off the play action. And we've seen in Aaron Rodgers' past that that's when he's at his best. And
hey, I was just about to say that having a great run game is the best thing for Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. I didn't mean to derail you, but yeah, you're saying exactly what I was about to say. The best thing for Aaron Rodgers is to have a good run game because everybody knows Aaron Rodgers is a good quarterback. If you have a good run game, now you have to worry about how good the running backs are, and they're going to stomp yards all over you.
Heather, I like that you brought up what do I think of Kirk Cousins, or what do we think of Kirk Cousins? Kirk Cousins, to me, he's a guy. I mean, he's okay.
He's a guy.
I see a lot of people labeling him as elite or, that top 5, top 8 quarterback. I don't see it. Everything I kind of needed to learn about Kirk Cousins, I learned in week 15 of last year. The Vikings were basically competing for the division still. And that faithful night I believe it was at Minnesota, week 15.
It was on Monday night.
No, it was a Sunday night game, I believe. And I seen Kirk Cousins like rattled in the pocket. He didn't want any part of Zadarius Smith. He didn't want any part of Preston Smith. He was throwing the ball just up in the air. I'm never in fear of losing the division because of Kirk Cousins. If Minnesota didn't have Kirk Cousins and all of a sudden they draft like Trevor Lawrence or something like that, then I'm like, oh no, that's a really good team behind a really good quarterback. But I'm not afraid of Kirk Cousins, and I think the Packers go into Minnesota and take care of business week 1.
So here's my issue is I don't have a problem with Kirk Cousins until it comes time for playoffs.
Yeah.
When it comes time to clinch the division or when it comes to being important, I don't know what's going on with him, but there always seems to be an issue. And from my perspective with him, when it comes to trying to close out. And outside of that, I think he's a good quarterback. He does what he needs to do to win these games.
Yep.
Except for when it's important. So he's above average for me, but he's not in that elite bracket when it comes to my opinion. So I have nothing against Kirk Cousins except trying to close out when it's time to close out.
Yeah, and I think, be it that it's week 1, but you're still playing division rival that won the division last year at your own stadium. I think that's a pretty high stakes game. That game sets the tone for the season, and that's already pressure on Kirk Cousins, and you don't have that pressure relief of I have Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs. Now it's I have Adam Thielen, but he's going to be double covered the whole game.
I think we're going to see a big game out of Dalvin Cook. And I'm sorry, man. I hate to do it to you, but I got the Vikings winning this one. If it was in Green Bay, I would take Green Bay, but I know home field advantage isn't the same this year.
Yeah.
But I'm still going to give home field advantage to the Vikings, but just by a little nick. I say it's a one-score game. Packers could still take it for me, though.
Let's agree to disagree.
All right.
All right. The next one is Colts Jaguars.
Okay. I want so badly in my deepest of deepest feelings to root and just cheer for Phillip Rivers. I want to. And I'm hoping this is the season. We see the change. We see him step over that hump. I'm hoping, I'm rooting. This is my hopes and dreams all on the line. And the Jaguars are trash, dude. Whatever is happening in Jacksonville, they need to absolutely nuke it and reset. Even shoot, it's so bad there. Let's move the team and rename them.
It's the tank for Trevor Lawrence.
Let's name them the Jacksonville football team.
There we go. They should be the football team. Exactly. Oh, we getting Bryce? Oh, what's up, Bryce?
Bryce, what's up, man?
What's up? What's up?
What's going on?
Not a whole lot, man.
So we're talking about the Colts and Jaguars game right now. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's going to be absolute thrashing. That's what I think. I think the lines opened up. I think the Colts are -8, which is a huge line in the NFL, and I think they cover that pretty easy. I think this is like a 2-3 score game.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
What's Jacksonville's identity on offense? I mean, Leonard Fournette's gone. That was he was 31% of their offense last year. Now he's gone. So, I mean, where do you go from there?
Yeah, Gardner Minshew can't be your offensive identity. He hasn't proven that can be the case.
Gardner Minshew doesn't have enough experience to be that yet.
No. And I don't think he'll.
I don't think he has the ceiling to do that. You know, I'm like Austin. I don't think he has the ceiling to be that.
Yeah. He was fun to watch year one. But
I think it was fun to watch in college as well, but that's just me.
He was. Yeah, he was. Where was he at? Washington State, something like that.
Yeah, he flew under college.
Cougars. So who do you guys all? We're all in agreement. Colts destroyed.
Going to run the ball down their throat. They're even going to worry about Phillip Rivers. They have 3 running backs. They're going to and the best O-line in football. They're going to gash that front 7, and that's going to be.
I'm hoping that this year we see with how much they put. So they set up this offensive line, and I'm not sure how many pieces are there, but they set up this great offensive line for Andrew Luck when he retired, and I'm hoping that when Jacoby Brissett failed to do what Andrew Luck was supposed to, Phillip Rivers can maybe not do as well as Andrew Luck because Phillip Rivers is not Andrew Luck. But we can at least see a huge difference in the gap of Jacoby Brissett and what Andrew Luck could have done.
I think by the end of next year, Jacoby Brissett will be the starter.
You think so?
I don't think Phillip Rivers is going to end up starting the whole year.
That hurts my feelings, bro.
Man, I'm real conflicted about it. You know, I'm real conflicted because, like, part of me wants to be like, Rivers is over. That was it. We saw the best of his days. And then part of me is like, he was having to run around a lot last year behind that trash, which he can't do.
Yeah.
So I think he benefit. I'm just real conflicted about it.
All right, well, let's move on to Chicago, and they're in Detroit facing the Lions. Who you guys got and why?
I think that Detroit will take this game. You got a healthy Matthew Stafford. They have a receiving core that I like. I like Kenny Golladay, and I like Marvin Jones a lot. And they have T.J. Hawkinson that they drafted last year who could still really turn into a nice player. The Bears just don't have an identity on offense. They don't know what they're doing when it comes to the offensive side of the ball. David Montgomery is banged up. He's going to play maybe. They don't really know. Tariq Cohen starting as your running back one doesn't sound that great to me. And they gave Mitch Trubisky the start. So you're constantly worried about, is he going to turn over the ball? You know, I got the Lions winning this by probably 10 points. I don't think Chicago will be that competitive on offense. And I think the Lions, like, you know, we talked about them having Adrian Peterson now. I think they could just run the ball down Chicago's throat and then hit them with the play action with Matthew Stafford and Galladay and Jones.
What are your thoughts on it, Bryce?
I'm about like Chicago with what you were talking about in Jacksonville. It's time to just nuke that whole thing and start over.
Absolutely.
It's time to them to just man up. Trubisky wasn't the guy. He sucks. Just plainly, I mean, the thing they could have had Deshaun Watson or Patrick Mahomes. They took Trubisky out of those three. It's just time to man up, and that was a big mistake. You bring in Nick Foles. You give up draft capital to get Nick Foles, pay his salary, and now he's not even starting. I mean, this is just a disaster in the front office.
I don't think Matt Nagy's that good of a coach either. I think
I think he's a good play designer. I don't think maybe he's great. I think he's better as a coordinator.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's there's this conception that proximity to greatness equals greatness. And because Matt Nagy got that coaching job because he was the assistant to Andy Reid, or the OC of Andy Reid. He had no business being a coach yet. And
well, I will say this. I think the one decent season Trubisky had 2 years ago, I think that was all Matt Nagy. I think that was
smoke mirrors. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That was all Matt Nagy. So you got to give him some props there.
Yeah, I'll give him credit. I think he's a capable head coach, but capable head coach good enough to overcome having a quarterback like Mitch Trubisky? No.
Yeah.
Not this year.
Yeah, Brandon, I forgot Rivers was with the Colts. Yeah, that kind of threw me by surprise when I remembered it too. So my biggest question about this matchup is, outside of Khalil Mack and maybe Danny Trevathan, right? Who's on the defense for Chicago?
Smith.
Yeah, I would say Roquan Smith.
Okay.
Akeem Hicks.
Kyle Fuller.
Defense. I won't take that away from them. My team plays them twice a year. It's hard to score points on that team. With Khalil Mack on the field, they get Akeem Hicks back. He was battling injuries all year, and then you add the edge rusher that was on the Cowboys. I forget his name. Mike. They paid him $100 million. You add a guy like that. He had, I think, 8.5 sacks with the Cowboys last year. He's going to help take that pressure off of Khalil Mack. He's going to open up the lane for Khalil Mack to get to the quarterback faster. Roquan Smith and Danny Trevathan. Now that Leonard Floyd's gone, I think that could actually be, a good thing. That defense it's solid. It's going to be solid as long as Khalil Mack is there. The problem with Chicago, again, is just their offense is atrocious.
Okay, cool. Then you guys answered my question because honestly, I didn't know. So
yeah, their defense has got some stars on it for sure.
Yeah, Robert Quinn was the guy that they brought over from Dallas.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Fantastic. I agree with you guys in the fact that we don't really know what's going on. I'm very disappointed that we're still looking at Mitch Trubisky being the quarterback. Like, you brought in Nick Foles. Nick Foles won a Super Bowl for the Eagles. He's definitely a better quarterback than Mitch Trubisky. Sorry, guys.
He is, but my fear with Nick Foles, and like I said, I'm a Packers fan, so if Chicago's bad, I'm happy. But my thing with Nick Foles was that, he was spoiled when he was in Philadelphia. That's a very well-run organization. They do everything kind of the right way. He had a really good offensive line with, 2-3 Hall of Fame offensive linemen on that. You don't get that in Chicago. So you put a quarterback like that behind Chicago's offensive line, with Chicago's play callers and Chicago's weapons. I mean, outside of Allen Robinson, you don't really know what you have on offense. You bring in Cole Kmet. You don't know what you really have with him. He was good in college, but you don't know if that's going to transfer. I don't think either of those quarterbacks was going to fare too well in Chicago. I think, like Bryce said, it's time to just nuke it and start all over.
Minshew and his mustache are going to the Super Bowl, baby. You know, I wouldn't hate that. I like Minshew. I'm a
Are they
big
going
fan
to
of
watch that?
Not in Jacksonville. Okay.
Minshew has to play exceptionally well this year for me to think that the Jaguars are still not going to take Trevor Lawrence. If they have that number one spot, Minshew has to have an amazing year for them to not take Trevor Lawrence. Because the thing is with Trevor Lawrence is that, you know, I know, or we have basically a guarantee that he's a guy that can turn your franchise around. We don't know if Minshew can do that.
Right. And Minshew and his mustache won't even get 4 wins. I'll let you guys hash that one out. Minshew will be traded in the offseason after they tank for Trevor.
There you go.
Okay. All right. Well, you know, I do hope the best for Minshew. I really do enjoy him. But we are a little bit past halfway through the show, and we've got 9 games to go through. So let's kick it up into the high gear. Next one up will be the Raiders, and they're in Carolina. Break it down for me. Let's go.
All right. So I would say, and I think some people would agree with this, I think Carolina had the best draft this year. They revamped their defense this year. You know, they brought in guys that they got guys like Jeremy Chin, who was a top 5 safety prospect in the 3rd round. And there's the factor of Christian McCaffrey, who is going to eat no matter who's playing quarterback. You know, he can run between the tackles and gash you up the middle. He can catch the ball and hurt you on the sidelines. He's just a nightmare of a player to prepare for. And I mean, I like what the Raiders have on offense. I like some of the players that they have on defense. I like John Gruden as the head coach, but I don't believe in Derek Carr. And I think, you know, new system. Teddy Bridgewater had a couple of really good games in New Orleans last year, and you put him with a decent offensive line, a guy like Christian McCaffrey, and then the receiving core that Carolina has, you know, Curtis Samuel, DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson. It's a nice receiving core. And I think Carolina will take care of business and get a win at home to start the season.
We talked about this earlier. I've got my eyes on John Gruden. There was a lot of things that were going on last season that led to riddled with injuries, and we had talked about this. We have John Gruden as one of the highest paid, if not the highest paid, coaches in the league, and he basically gutted this team a few years ago, and they did well last year until the injuries. And I want to see this expand, and I want to see these injuries not, you know, be the reason why we're talking about the Raiders the way that we're talking about them right now. Because I think, honestly, Abrams going down was one of the biggest injuries on that team last year. And I really, really look forward to seeing how well they do this year. And I got the Raiders going in Carolina winning.
What do you think, Bryce?
I'm right.
Oh,
Okay.
we lost Bryce. We got Bryce back. We lost Bryce. Oh,
And if I was betting on this, am I back? Can you hear me?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a tough game. I like Carolina, but you got a new coach, new system, new quarterback with no preseason, very limited OTAs. I don't think you can just expect to go there. Christian McCaffrey can carry the game, but I'm a pretty big gambler.
Yeah, we got a lot of connection issues with Bryce. We'll get that figured out, and we'll bring him back in when we can. Let's move right along to the Jets and the Bills. I think a lot's going on with the Jets, and the Bills looked fantastic last year. Obviously, they're not the same teams, but this is the Bills' year to win the division.
It's open.
I mean, can you argue that? This is the Bills' season, man.
This is
And I don't think they're going to lose week 1 to the Jets.
Nope. I got the Bills winning this game big time. You add Stephon Diggs, you add guys like AJ Epineza in the draft. They have a lot of cap space moving forward. This is definitely the Bills' division to lose with a depleted New England team. The only other team that I could actually see in this division being competitive towards the Bills is Miami once Tua takes over. The Jets are in no position. They got no C.J. Mosley, no Jamal Adams, and a receiving core that's already banged up. The O-line is improved. We don't know how much we're going to see Le'Veon Bell get used. We don't know how much Le'Veon Bell still has in the tank. I think the Bills win this one in a landslide.
I think part of the issue with what's going on with the Jets is we could talk about do we think shoot, I just spaced really bad. What's their quarterback's name?
Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold. Do we think that Sam Darnold is going to be the team to carry them into the promised land? Do you?
I like Sam Darnold a lot, but my problem with him is I don't think he's a guy. He's not talented enough to overcome the dysfunction that he's in.
Okay. So, yeah, that brings up to my point. There's a lot going on, and I don't think Sam Darnold being the starter if you put him on the back burner and let him learn some stuff and have somebody there to take the criticism of what's going on and be the face of why all of this mess is happening for the Jets.
Yeah.
And not put this on this young quarterback, we might not be having such issues with Darnold later. And I think that's where we're going to run into right now. How can the Jets get out of this on paper their good rut that they've been in? Well, go ahead.
My issue with the Jets this year is on paper they're not good. The receiving core is probably bottom 5 in the league. The offensive line is probably bottom 10 in the league. And that defense is depleted now that, again, you don't have C.J. Mosley this year. You lost Leonard Williams last year. You still have Quinnen Williams, but you lose Jamal Adams.
Yep.
That's a major loss. He's probably a top 10 player in the NFL if you throw all the positions in there. I don't see them as good on paper this year, and I don't think they're going to be good on the field either. I think this is a team that maybe wins 4 or 5 games.
4 or 5?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I can't dispute that. So I'm not even going to try.
I think the Jets, the key to them kind of revamping next year is getting a really, really high pick and bringing in Jamar Chase. Go get a big-bodied receiver that can catch the ball so that Sam Darnold kind of has some pressure taken off of him.
I think they need to look at somebody in the offseason to let Darnold sit behind, man. I'm a huge advocate of not letting these – look, I'm a Seattle Seahawks fan, and I would have much rather seen how Russell Wilson developed instead of him starting. Dude, put Matt Flynn in there for a year and let Russell Wilson learn from – Matt Flynn's not a great quarterback, but let him learn, man. I'm a huge fan of letting these young rookie quarterbacks learn and then get out there.
Yeah, and as a Packers fan, that's all we know. All we know is sit the rookie. So I think, sitting behind Aaron Rodgers is beautiful.
It's going to be fantastic for him. How could you not benefit from learning from Aaron Rodgers, man? You love the guy, you hate the guy, whatever. Aaron Rodgers is a great quarterback.
Yeah, and not to mention
Yeah. So let's move on to the Browns Ravens. Hunter Main Gang. I don't think that there's any question here that the Ravens are going to destroy the Browns in this one. What do you think?
I think the Browns are a playoff team this year. I think that roster's too loaded for them not to be. You brought in a guy I really like in Kevin Stefanski, who specializes in that power running game that they have in Minnesota. They just actually extended Kareem Hunt today, so you have running backs for the near future. And Baker Mayfield's going to be good off the play action with receivers like Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry, and then you got him Austin Hooper and David Njoku, and the list goes on.
I don't believe in Baker Mayfield just yet, and I'm still not convinced.
I'm a big Baker fan. I like him a lot. He reminds me a lot of Brett Favre.
But we're talking about Brett Favre, the guy who will just throw it and expect somebody to catch it. He had the receivers and the experience to pull that off. Baker Mayfield does not.
Yeah. I agree with you, though.
Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham Jr. are great wide receivers, okay? But when everybody's talking about how good Odell Beckham Jr. is, and really we only know him for the catch.
Yeah.
Jarvis Landry pretty much did all stats better than him last year.
Yeah, he outplayed him last year, definitely. I think the Odell move to Cleveland was kind of unnecessary. I think you could have drafted a nice number 2 receiver to put behind Jarvis Landry, but Odell's there for the foreseeable future, so we kind of go with it. But I do agree with you. I think the Ravens are going to win this game. I think Lamar Jackson's going to continue his tear. People say, well, people are going to figure him out. You have figured him out. He runs the ball. It's can you stop it?
Yeah.
The only teams that have been able to do that was Tennessee last year in the playoffs, and I think he still ran for 60, 70 yards in a playoff game. So I don't know.
do that, Nick. Stop.
Yeah, you got to stop that.
Yeah, stop that. Sorry, go ahead.
But yeah, the Ravens top to bottom. You brought in Calais Campbell. He's going to set the edge. You drafted a guy like Patrick Queen. They drafted another running back to add to the already best rushing attack in the game.
Dude, when they lined up with the triple option with Robert Griffin III and Lamar Jackson, and who was the running back that lined up in the triple option with them?
I think it was Mark Ingram or Gus Edwards.
It's one of those. And when you run it, when you have those 3 guys in a triple option, God, man, the sky is the limit. The sky is the limit. The Ravens are in a good position. My question for you is when do we start talking about the longevity of this running back quarterback that we're talking about, Lamar Jackson? I mean, how many times do we see these running quarterbacks get that big hit and then stop being able to run like that?
And you're not wrong. That is always a factor with a guy who, most of his game is running the ball. But if you look Lamar Jackson's it's only his 3rd year in the league. And if you look in the strides he's taken in his passing between his rookie year and his 2nd year, I mean, if he can continue to develop like that, he went from, I think, 6 touchdowns his rookie year. I mean, he only played 9 games, but he threw 36 touchdowns and led the league in passing touchdowns last year. And I think that's overlooked. I would like to see him a few more games in the regular season, throwing the ball more than 25 times a game. I feel like that's kind of the veteran minimum. You got to throw the ball at least 25 times a game. And, he can continue to make plays with his legs, but we do have to see him move the ball downfield in other ways besides using his legs. And I think he'll get there. I think he's a guy that's dedicated to his craft. If you look at training reports, they never have anything really bad to say about his, working ethic or his integrity on the field. I think he's in the perfect system. I mean, you got, John Harbaugh, he's going to put guys around you to ultimately make you successful. So I think we'll see Lamar maybe throw the ball a little bit more this year, kind of run the ball a little bit less. I know he's kind of getting mentored by Michael Vick, and that's kind of Michael Vick's advice to him. But yeah, I think the Ravens win this game pretty easily, but we do see some flashes of the Browns, what's to come for the rest of the season.
All right, so we're running up on the 10-minute warning, so we're going to do a rapid fire here real quick, and we'll knock it out, all right? Seahawks.
Take the Seahawks.
Go ahead. Yeah, Seahawks, Falcons. All right. Man, I obviously am going to take the Seahawks. I don't know what's really going on with the Falcons because since that Super Bowl, I don't know what's going on with the Falcons. Matt Ryan has played as good as any other quarterback can. And I don't know why we're always running into the Falcons being this disaster that they have been. Since that Super Bowl, what more can you give to the Falcons to make Matt Ryan over that hump?
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. They've battled a lot of injuries. I mean, I guess you could say that. I think this kind of falls at the feet of Dan Quinn, though. And I think it's time to get him out of the building and Get somebody in there who's a more offensive-minded coach like Kyle Shanahan was when they went on that run.
I do want to say that I'm really excited about this game because of how many offseason defensive moves that the Seahawks made. And I'm looking forward to seeing how the defense gets put together as they were ranked on Pro Football's top rankings of defense. The offensive or defensive line was 32. So I'm excited to see now that we have good cornerbacks if it'll give them time to get some more sacks.
Yeah.
Let's move right along. Then it's going to be the Chargers at Cincinnati. God, I'm not picking Cincinnati to win a game this year, dude. I'm not.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Burrow's going to, Colin Cowherd said it best a couple days ago. He said he's going to get his ass kicked. Like, he's in the toughest division in football right now. You got to play the Ravens, Steelers, and Browns defenses twice a year. And they also play the 49ers, I believe, this year. Burrow's going to struggle early. He's coming out of a system at LSU where he had everything at his fingertips, and that's not the case in Cincinnati. So you're going to play a team that's a lot older. The Chargers have a lot of veteran players on the team that know how to play football. They have a veteran head coach that people actually have faith in. And Tyrod Taylor he's an NFL quarterback. We know that much at least. So
yeah.
I think the Chargers are going to win this game, and we're going to see some struggling from Burrow week 1.
I think we're going to see a lot of struggling from Burrow as the season progresses as well. But
yeah.
We're going to go to Arizona visiting the 49ers. And this is where we're going to start seeing some – I'm actually really excited about this game being an NFC West matchup. The Cardinals are an up-and-up team. They look great. They're dude, the sky's the limit for the Cardinals right now.
Absolutely.
And the 49ers are coming off of what could be a Super Bowl hangover. Yeah. But I don't think that the 49ers are going to run into this issue.
No, the hangover is kind of inevitable because it's a mental thing. It doesn't really matter who's on the team. It's kind of a mental thing. But I do see the 49ers pulling back a little bit. And the Cardinals, I think, are a wild card team if everything goes well. So I like the matchup between Richard Sherman and DeAndre Hopkins, even though we don't really know if we're actually going to see that because Richard Sherman's not a corner.
Only plays what he plays one side of the field, and that's it.
He hides in that cover 3 zone. So we don't really know if he's going to be covering DeAndre Hopkins, and then if he is, what's going to happen with Christian Kirk and Larry Fitzgerald. The Cardinals now have a lot of ways that they can beat you over the top. And then they brought in Kenyon Drake, who at the end of the season had a lot of really nice games. So, other than their lack of an offensive line, their defense has some pieces that I really like. And then you add a guy like Isaiah Simmons. I think they made it interesting in the 2 times they played the 49ers last year, and they have a much better team this year. So I think that the 49ers win this game, but I think it's very close.
I think the 49ers will win this one too, but don't expect the Cardinals to have a bad season this year.
No,
not at all. I think the NFC West is probably the toughest division in the league, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Let's run through this real quick. Hey, how about Cat being in 21? Me personally, I think it's cool. He's a free agent. Why not have him be a free agent? Whatever. That's cool. I'm into it. Hey, I like your jersey. Thank you, Heather. Always appreciate your comments. And she said that she likes the 49ers as well. I don't like the 49ers.
Neither of us like the 49ers.
but I won't take away from the fact that they're a good team.
Yeah,
Let's talk about the Buccaneers and the Saints. I'm excited for this one too. This is another one because the Buccaneers obviously have so much hype train behind them, just like the Browns did last year. There were so many offseason moves. We got Tom Brady in Tampa now. We got the return of Gronk. So many pieces have been brought into Tampa Bay, and the Saints are a well-known, proven football team. This is going to be a great, great game. But me personally, I'm not backing the Buccaneers just yet. I think it's going to take them a few games to so is Tom Brady going to do well in game 1? I think it's going to take them a few games because of minus the preseason and all these guys haven't really played together to get, the things going. They're going to be a good team this year, no doubt. But things are going to have to click before we start looking at that great team. The Saints win this one.
Yeah, I agree. The Saints are going to win this game. I think it's in New Orleans. I don't really know how much I buy into the Bucs, like you said. The memory I have of Tom Brady in my head right now is how he played last year against the Titans in the playoffs, and that wasn't a good game for him. So I don't know what Tom Brady we're really going to see. I don't know what Gronkowski we're going to see.
God, the dude shed so much weight when he wasn't playing football. I mean, it's obvious you got to put back on the weight, obviously, because you're playing tight end. But, I mean, it's Gronk. So my question is how long before he gets injured this season? Seriously, though. Seriously.
Yeah. I think they're an 8-9-win team. I see a lot of records where they're 11, 12 wins. I don't think that's in the realm of possibility for them. I think they're more of a middle-of-the-road team. I don't think they take that division from the Saints by any means.
No, not at all. All right, let's move on. Let's move on to the Cowboys versus the Rams. The Rams, to me, are still in that step-back phase because when they went to the Super Bowl, they had so many short-term deals. And I think they're trying to piece it back together. And I don't think that they're going to piece it back together this quickly.
Yeah, they're not.
The Cowboys, on the other hand, they seem like they're starting to, put stuff together and make things look like they're going to be on the swing. I think the Cowboys may win the division this year. It's very likely.
I like a lot of the things that the Cowboys are doing, with the exception of keeping Dak Prescott at quarterback.
Okay.
So I don't buy the Cowboys until he's not there, or he shows me that he can play big in big moments, which we haven't seen throughout his entire career so far. Thank you. Thank you, Nick. And the Rams, to me, are a dumpster fire right now. You're paying guys like Brandon Cooks and Todd Gurley $20 million, $10 million in dead cap.
I don't think Brandon Cooks is on the Rams anymore.
Yeah, they're not even there anymore. So they're still paying them. So, they're in a salary cap hell right now.
Yeah.
The defense is depleted. They brought in a guy like Leonard Floyd, who's proven nothing in this league.
Exactly.
I think the Cowboys win this game pretty easily. And I think it's mostly due to Ezekiel Elliott just kind of gashing the middle of that defense, with Corey Littleton not being there and Dante Fowler not being there, and Clay Matthews not being there. I think that's an easy win for the Cowboys, and the Rams kind of are in tank mode right now.
Yep, I absolutely agree. It sucks for Jared Goff because me personally, and a lot of people don't like Jared Goff, but I don't have anything against him, honestly. And me being a Seahawks fan, you can play as terrible as you want.
Yeah,
keep doing it, baby.
Goff's all right to me. He's like a younger Kirk Cousins to me.
Yeah, he's just kind of average to me.
Yeah, he's just a guy.
All right, what's the next game? The Steelers and the Giants.
Steelers.
To me, per se, Steelers. To me, I don't even know what's going on with the Giants football team anymore. I stopped paying attention just because of how much craziness was going on over there. But I got to start paying attention again. But come on, man. The Steelers are going to be winning this one, no doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. I gave up on the Giants when they hired.
Stop, Nick.
Yeah, stop it. I gave up on the Giants when they signed a special teams coordinator to be their head coach.
Yeah, I don't
know that. I don't know about that one.
I'm just not going to touch it right now because we don't have the time. Yeah. We're at 1 hour and we got one game left. We both agree that the Steelers are going to win that. Who's going to win the Titans and the Denver Broncos game? Break it down for me. Let's go.
I think the Titans are going to win this game easily. The offense of the Broncos is going to take a few weeks to actually adjust to, playing together. Like you said, there's no OTAs and no preseason. So we're not going to see Drew Lock and Jerry Jeudy haven't had a lot of time to kind of get that connection. Same thing with KJ Hamler and Melvin Gordon in the new offense. So I think the Titans are mostly the same as they were last year. And then you add Jadeveon Clowney. Derrick Henry's going to gash up the middle of that field, especially with Von Miller not being there. And I think the Titans are going to easily win this game. It's not it's not the year for Denver. Not anymore.
Yeah, with Von Miller being gone, Derrick Henry is gonna run a train on that Denver Broncos defense, man. Dude, Derrick Henry this is the season for Derrick Henry to really turn it up to 11, especially after those 2 playoff games that he had against the Ravens and against the New England Patriots.
Yeah.
Show me more of that, and I'll guarantee you Derrick Henry is gonna win a rushing title this year.
Oh yeah.
I don't have any more for you guys. Do you got any more to add, Austin?
I got nothing.
Absolutely. So, I'm Nick. This is the 60-yard dash. If you're not watching us on GCSN, make sure you go watch us on GCSN. Go back and watch the Whiskey Hour. We had the Whiskey Hour probably about an hour ago, right? Yep, an hour ago. Go make sure you go check out the Whiskey Hour. Talk Interference Sports, my show, usually on Saturdays. Circus Monkey Sports. If you're not watching us on Circus Monkey Sports, make sure you go watch that as well. And guys, take it easy, Heather. We got a Twitch and we got a YouTube. Make sure you guys go like and follow those pages. Please, please, please go check out all of our social media. I think that's it for us. Anything else?
Got nothing. Bye, guys.
See you guys next week.